We're in a stage now where there's this richness that really blows both of our minds. Like right now, I feel like she really likes me. And she probably
Y'all
does.
just don't know. There were times when I didn't. Not today, but years ago.
Seasons.
It's not that hard to imagine.
Yes. All right. And so we've kind of moved from this annoyance, tolerance, avoidance place in life where the differences of this beautiful woman and the differences of me to her were something that were divides. There were barriers in our marriage, and they stayed that way for a long, long time. And God's, through His grace and mercy, has brought us to a place to where now we can actually accept and celebrate how massively different we are by design.
Welcome to the Age of Lions podcast, a platform and community dedicated to bringing purpose, strategy, and calling to kingdom-minded people who are 50 plus and excited about their next chapter. Here's your host, Mark Clement.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Age of Lions podcast. So glad that you're here today. That's Chris and Sophie Corder, our special guests today, talking about what it's like to be married and aging together. And they should know they have an incredible marriage ministry called Design for Unity, where they have counseled and led and worked with hundreds of couples over the years to take them to another level in their marriages. And so today we're going to really focus on their personal journey together. And we're also going to talk about the things that they've learned from so many couples that they've worked with over the years. It's going to be an incredible episode. Hope you're ready for it. Here we go with Chris and Sophie Corder. Hey, Corders, how are you guys today?
Hey, we are doing great, Mark. Thanks.
Great, Mark.
It is so good to see you guys. It's been a minute since we've been face-to-face, so to speak.
Yes. Yes, it has.
Too long.
Too long.
Especially Sophie. I've seen Chris. We've had lunch, but even that was probably 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So
she's definitely the better half of that process. So you're blessed.
You're not going to get any disagreement from me. Yeah. Every time I see him, I'm like, where's Sophie? Why wasn't she here? Yeah, I have had fun, though. I will tell you guys, I've had so much fun reconnecting with Logan and just seeing them on Sundays and seeing him play drums again. And I always enjoy talking to them in the lobby in between. And he and I were going to have lunch a few weeks ago, and then he got one of his gigs popped up out of town. He had to drive somewhere. He couldn't do it. But anyway, I just love seeing them, and I always ask about you guys and how you're doing and all the things. So
it's great having them
close. Your whole family.
Love it.
Yeah, they got another baby on the way, so we have a second grandbaby.
Oh, that's exciting!
I know,
that's great.
So thrilled.
Well, I'll tell you guys. I just found out actually I'm going to be a grandfather.
Hey, congratulations!
That's so great.
Yeah,
it's the best life ever.
I've got 4 beautiful step grandkids that live in Delaware, and they're awesome. And then my son, my oldest, they're having their first baby. And I'm telling you, it was like a feeling I can't explain, and I know y'all understand that.
Yes.
I wasn't one like I can't wait till I have grandkids. Like it wasn't that I didn't. I just hadn't thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
And Marcus and they're a little older. They're in their late 30s, and so I didn't know if they were going to have kids or not have. And it's fine, whatever they want to do. But when he called and told me, the joy that welled up inside of me, I cannot put words around. It's the strangest
Isn't that neat?
thing. I'm so excited.
And I mean, just get ready for your world to be rocked, because even one of the questions that you proposed to us and asked us was about what life looks like now. And I can say anytime Shiloh, that's our granddaughter's name, is involved, I am living my best life. And Chris gets to come along sometimes too, but you just get
second fiddle in that world for sure.
I mean, there's just
I get it.
Nobody that can get my attention and hold it like her.
I know. I mean, even when I'm just praying for the baby, and we don't know yet if it's a boy or girl. They'll find out in a couple of weeks. Yeah. But I just cry every time it's crazy. So anyway,
that's beautiful.
I'm super excited about it. Yeah. It's fun. It's super fun. So I told the audience a little bit about you guys and how we know each other, and it's been a really fun journey over the last several years to hang out with you guys. Chris and I don't think I said this earlier, but Chris and I met at Highlands College when we were both students in their adult program and became fast friends and got to serve at their campus a little bit together. And then they were coaching clients of mine for a long time and have an incredible ministry that's popped up from that. And so it's been a real fun journey just getting to watch you guys grow and watch you guys lead your ministry and all the things that are going on there. So super fun.
Yeah.
So the first question that we ask everybody for a benchmark is, at what age did you kind of have the realization, I'm a little older than I like to think that I am. There's less time ahead of me than behind me, And I don't mean that in a negative sense or anything, but just you just kind of were like, kind of became aware of it. What was that for you guys?
You want to go first?
I had two. I had one mental and one physical. So we were invited to be on a marriage panel at a church up in the Coleman area. And there was going to be a total of 4 couples. So we were one of 4 couples. And when we got there, we realized that we were referred to as the older couple. Okay. But it's, I mean, you know so much about our story, and it's like, you know, the real marriage that we have today, you know, it's not as old as we are, you know, I mean, our healthy journey in marriage is relatively young. And so that was a little like, oh, wow, we are the old couple, actually. And the other was around Shiloh, our granddaughter. And I was sitting in the floor, and I'm 60. I love to sit in the floor. But I picked her up and went to stand up, not holding it, you know, just to go from sitting to standing, holding this child. And I was like, my body feels this. And it marked me. It's been a couple of years since that happened, but it marked me. I was like, okay, I'm going to have to do some work to make sure that I stay mobile, and I'm a grandma that can sit on the floor and play and pick you up and stand back up again. That's right.
So
what about you, Chris?
So mine is really mostly physical, and it was in my 40s. And I've always done things physically and done ball and all that. That's been part of my life. And in my 40s, there were so many times where people say, hey, do you want it? And I'd go, yes. And I'd go join in either in basketball or football or whatever. And the fact that I popped so many hamstrings doing that and could not do a physical activity from standing to go any longer was a huge wake-up call in my 40s. And that's when I started really doing math. And, you know, I'm halfway to 80. And I am getting on the other side of this thing. And so most of mine was physical. It really was. And just for fun, it's that way still. Last night I was walking on a treadmill only for 20 minutes and found a way to tweak a hamstring. And it is so ridiculous to me. And that was after stretching.
You should see his arm right now, actually, from him going water skiing and not stretching beforehand. And he pulled a muscle, and it turned purple and blue all over him.
I have an amazing bruise. It's a powerful thing. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, a daily reminder for sure. And the hard part about that is not only does it happen, but then the healing is so slow compared to what it used to be. So yeah, it's definitely different. And I've found there's a balance between keeping the younger mindset. You know, I want to do these things. I want to be active. I want to be great with the grandkids, all that stuff. But there's a balance between just the wisdom of, but I need to be smart about how I do it, when I do it, how hard I do it.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing. It's like, can I still go play tennis or pickleball? Yes, but I'm not going to play the way I played when I was 30 or 25. Or,
That's right.
Very humbling.
There's
very
just,
humbling.
Well, and you also just have to kind of let it go. It's like, you know what? I don't have to win every time, even though I want to.
Right.
And I know that athlete's in there somewhere, but the body doesn't always support it. So
very real.
Let me ask you guys this. There's a lot of reasons why I wanted to have you on today. We're going to get into that later. But one of the reasons is, knowing you guys the way that I do, I know how intentional you are about everything. You know, all aspects of your life, not just your work and your ministry and your marriage. But I know that it's kind of that old saying, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I know you guys are very purposeful and intentional about everything. So when you talk about taking better care of yourself physically, when you talk about staying sharp mentally, all that stuff, what are some practical things you're doing now, investing in that future retirement IRA of physical, so that you can draw on it later? What are things you're doing right now to help maintain that?
So we've in that mention that you just gave, you talked about spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, those four dynamics. Especially, we really have learned that we have to be so intentional with all of them. I still see myself, I think, like a 25 to 30-year-old Chris.
Yeah.
But I have a lot more experience, and I have a whole lot more where my thick head has hit the wall long enough that my ears have poked out. I've actually started hearing some stuff, but I still think like I'm 25 to 30, and then it takes me looking at myself in this camera and realizing, man, I am not.
I think you look good.
And so the reality of the intentionality, like you said. So what I did, and this started for me just a few years ago, in the training we do with marriages, and then I also do consulting as well with companies, help and build teams and build people skills within organizations and leaders. And so I literally am always challenging people to get themselves outside of their comfort zone, stretch in essence. And so I started doing that super intentionally back in it started in about 2018, 2019 in Highlands College, where I really got the mindset that I've got to start doing work intentionally in all these areas, because if I let one go, it affects the other. And so I've got to stay intentional in all four of those areas we just mentioned. And the one that I was poor at then was physical. I was really not good physically. And so I put myself into uncomfortable environments, literally became a wilderness guide for a ministry out west in Wyoming and Montana, and put myself maxed out, toting backpacks and bear spray, and let that filter into what I do today, just trying to be so physically sharp. And I found that has really affected my mental sharpness, my emotional sharpness, and my spiritual sharpness with God. Just being able to, because our goal, we are not going to retire when that's not in our mix. There is no end point. We'll talk about that in more detail in a little while. But, and now I view death as a doorway, Mark. I really do. I really don't see that as anything ending. It's literally ultimate healing. It's ultimate relational connection with my maker. And so viewing it that way, I want to be sharp when I go through the door and to his presence. And so the part that I had to do the most work on over the last few years was that physical part. It took super intentionality, the food. I pay attention to what I eat.
That's what I was going to say is I'm super paying attention now to what we put in and on our bodies, and the fleeting, I feel like sitting down and eating half a gallon of ice cream. I'm actually now mature enough to realize I'm going to pay a price for that tomorrow, and just assessing, is it worth it to do this? Maybe sometimes the answer is yes, but most of the time the answer to that is no, and just having a discipline about, what we're putting in and on our bodies.
Yeah. Just being so intentional.
It's very practical, I know, but that is where we are.
Yeah.
No, it matters. It definitely matters. I've been on a similar path the last little bit, and it's funny how once you start making the good choices and you have momentum in it, you don't I love ice cream. It is my favorite thing in the world. I love to eat it, but I don't want it. Right. I don't want to put it in my body. I don't want the effect of it. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that the cost benefit analysis, the cost is way too high.
Right.
And there'll be a point in the future, I think, when things get kind of where I want them to be, that I can enjoy some, but it won't be a giant bowl like it used to be, or a pint at a time. Yeah. It'll be, I'll have a cone. I'll have one scoop. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. But it is amazing how all those things feed each other, because I've noticed over the last several months, the last year for me was sort of challenging. It was a big transition from a career in one area and then going back to starting another company, and all these things have happened. And I've probably talked about this in some episodes here or there by the time this comes out, but there was probably some depression in the middle of that, of just frustrated and trying to hear from God and what do you want me to do, and really the fundamental thing that's underneath this whole podcast. Like I was the typical person of trying to figure that out. And once I got clarity on vision, got clarity on the things He wanted me to do, purpose started coming back, passion started to rise. I cared more about my physical self. That started to come into play. Yep. Now I sleep better. Now my prayer life is better. Like it feeds together in such a powerful way. And that's not rocket science. And it's not
right.
Most people are like, well, no kidding. But honestly, when you're in the middle of it, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's hard to see. And you let one thing slide and then the next thing slides, and you find yourself on the couch every night. It's gradual. It's not, I didn't make a big decision to go, okay, I'm just going to be this way. It just sort of happens.
And baby steps to bad and baby steps to good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's right. It's 100%. Because even when you make the choice to start doing the right things, there's some immediate benefit. You do feel better pretty quickly, but if you're trying to lose a certain amount of weight, that's going to take some time. If you're trying to get more fit, that's going to take some time. If you're, but it's so worth it. And at some point we're going to have some episodes probably focused on health and fitness specifically, but good. I think the people I know that are sharp and getting after it in all the areas, it is all the areas. It's not to the exclusion
Agreed.
of one. It's usually
all
or
say we got a two-legged temple, Mark. We're walking around in two-legged temples and we need to treat them that way. And I did not, for multiple years of my life, had a break between 25 and 40 that was not good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So maybe 45. And so God is just gently reminding me that, hey, I need you mobile. I need you mobile like Israel was.
That's true. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets.
Yes.
I told my wife the other day after I had kind of made the turn and was kind of in the flow of it, I said, thank God I didn't wait till I was 60. I'm 56.
That's right.
Because it was hard enough, because you don't know how out of shape you are till you start trying to go work out, and then you're like, oh my gosh.
That's right.
So true. So true.
And I was like, I'm glad I didn't wait one day longer than I did. And I wish I hadn't waited that long, but at least I'm doing it now.
Yeah, now is the best time, man.
That's right. Now is the best time. That's right. So what would you guys say is the hardest part of getting older, and what's the best part about getting older?
First.
The hardest part for me, it's kind of me monster ridden, and that is that, like, I have this, I don't want to be seen as an old lady. And honestly, sure. that's a selfish thought. And thankfully, my walk with Jesus right now, I mean, Holy Spirit just speaks to me constantly. And if I want to go down that path, He's like, what if your calling, what if your purpose is coming from the viewpoint of being seen as the old lady? Are you still going to do it? Do you trust me with the way this is going to look to live this out? And the answer is yes. And so that is hard. And for me, the best part, I said it earlier, is Shiloh, James, Phillips. I mean, it is just getting to be a grandparent, getting to be in a phase of life and marriage where the seasons of just not getting any sleep, or maybe for us, it was struggling financially, just all the other things that you're paying attention to because you need to when your kids are younger. For us, those aren't present. And it's just like when I am with her, she has my undivided attention. And man, it's just a gift. I mean, it is such a gift to get to do that. So, and I love being with my husband.
Sure.
It sounds like, but I mean,
no, it's a fun season.
It is. I mean, he gets it too. Yeah. I mean, he is. He's a tough guy. You don't see him cry a lot or be silly and talk baby talk and stuff. Now, he does. But when he is with that little girl, I mean, he is Papa, and it is in full force.
Yeah, Papa's in putty form.
That's awesome.
So, like, the hardest part for me, Mark, of getting older was really coming to it's a mindset kind of thing, understanding that there's no done/arrived in life. When I was 20, I think everybody does this. We think that once we're 40, 45 and we have this, have that, our family looks like this, we drive this or that, we're in a leadership position here or there, that there's this arrival point. There's this, the arrival. And that was the toughest part for me a few years ago, was to truly embrace that, accept that deep in my knower. I would have told you I knew that in my head, but I didn't really believe it. And so beginning to accept that there's no done arrived, and that this whole stretching thing I have to stretch before I do anything, literally physically, but truthfully, I need to be stretching emotionally, I need to be stretching spiritually, and I need to be stretching mentally as well as physically. And this whole thing of embracing the stretch, I'm still in it. It's still a process that I'm still learning and getting deep in my knower to understand. But that for me was the hardest part. It was really accepting that, oh man, this is process, this is journey, and the checkpoint is when I go through the doorway. And until then, there is no done/arrive at any of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's so good. And I'll just mention right there, for anybody who might be new to the podcast, episode number 1, and now this is probably going to be 10 or 15. I don't know where we'll be when this comes out, but episode number 1 is a guy named William Vanderbloemen, and William talks about stretching specifically. And I'm going to misquote this a little bit, but the gist of it, he was like, you're never more flexible physically than the day you're born.
Yeah.
Babies are pretzels,
Heard that. Yeah.
And then you're just it just gets worse and worse all the way till you're done. And I think the same is true for the mental and the spiritual and all the other things. And he basically said, we've got to be stretching in all the areas. Like you said, Chris, literally what you just said. And he said, because we have to fight the calcification of time.
That's really good.
Very good.
Yeah. And it's what are we doing with that dash between the born year and the doorway year, to use your language. Yeah. And so that stretching is so important, because I think it's the second we stop doing it, the decline just accelerates.
It does.
It just does.
Faster the older we are. The older we are.
Yeah.
If I stay out of the gym 2 weeks, it's like I was out of the gym 2 months 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I'm part of, because it's called F3, and I'm so diligent, I do not want to miss a day because of that. Yeah. I fear that. I fear like I don't want to lose the momentum. I don't want to have to start over again, because I've come so far in just a couple of months. Like, it's night and day. And so now I look forward to them. I'm excited about them. I don't want to miss them. So it's just that feeling of, it's going to be a hard workout, but it's not going to be near as hard as if I don't go for 2 weeks.
Correct.
So Chris, what would you say is the best part about getting older from your viewpoint?
Well, really being in this discovery cycle that God has put me in, especially within the last 10 years, of self-discovery and self-control, others and his discovery of his heart, and really loving. I'm actually able to really love people. And the older I am, the better I am at that. Now, when I was 25,
I get that.
I could have preached a sermon, my man, and I did preach sermons as a pastor on love, and I had no idea about how horrible I was at actually loving another human, or what really love was. And so one of the most exciting things to me is that I'm in that journey so intentionally now. Every day I'm asking God, show me me, show me you. Show me me, in the spirit of Psalm 139, literally going, you're the one that knows me. Show me me. Because if I'm not aware of me, I can't submit to you for self-control to be a fruit out of me. And so I'm praying that all the time. And the byproduct of that is now I'm getting to see his heart versus what I thought his heart was, or what I made his heart to be, in essence. And now I'm seeing this beautiful chick's heart every day in ways I never would have seen without that process. So I think it's getting to the age I am at 57, especially over the last decade, I've been able to discover so many of those. It just makes the life a fascinating adventure, because I'm going to keep discovering. but I've got to stay in that discovery cycle, and that's something that's thrilling to me. So I wasn't there, man, when I was 25 or 30. I would have blown it off.
I think as I've gotten older and in my pursuit of Christ likeness, there's a softening that happens. And also the thing about, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know.
Right.
Correct.
Yes,
and so it just makes you want to lean in more, and it humbles you in the best way of saying, I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but what I like to say about one of the benefits of aging is I've had a long, sometimes tumultuous walk with the Lord, but he has never, ever, ever failed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you talk to a young person, our kids' age or college kids or whatever, and you're able to say, one thing I can tell you for certain is he never, ever, ever fails. And I know it seems like it's the end of the world, and I know you think you can't overcome this thing. I'm just telling you, it's going to be fine.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's the perspective that we have is beautiful. And people who are 70 and 80 and beyond who are still thriving, their perspective is so much greater than ours is that we don't know. Yeah. And I want to learn from them too. Well, you guys, as we talked about up top before we got on together, I was telling them about your ministry, and you're obviously really focused on marriage and that kind of thing. How would you say, what's been the most noticeable change in your marriage and your relationship that's kind of tied to getting older, good, bad, or otherwise, whatever those things are. But what have you been learning about that context in your life, that season of your life, that part of your life? I know that's a big question.
You're looking at me. Do you want me to speak?
Go right ahead. I'm happy to share too.
Well, I think one of the biggest deals with us is that we are very forthcoming, with the challenges, the trauma really that we went through in our marriage, and that holds us accountable. I mean, staying in a leadership position is one of the best ways to hold yourself accountable, to do what you say you'll do, to live what you're teaching other people, and as a part of our ministry that we are staying actively engaged. The way that we lead is, at this point in our ministry has not been from a stage. It's been in the context of being in people's living rooms, one-on-one with people sometimes, or in small group context. And so I think that what we're seeing is that there's beauty in being authentic, that we don't have to pretend like we have it perfect, that people are drawn to that. And that's where really God does his finest work, is when we're really willing to take the mask off, come off of our game, be real about where things are, and also shout his faithfulness from the mountaintops.
Yeah, so we can talk about like she said, we can talk about trauma. We can talk about brutal dumpster fire years. We're married. We're in our 33rd year of marriage, which is an absolute miracle. And when you know the story, it's a proof that God is real and his power is real. And so what I share is we have been through all of that, but we're in a stage now where there's this richness that really blows both of our minds. Like right now, I feel like she really likes me. And she probably
Y'all
does.
just don't know. There were times when I didn't. Not today, but years ago.
Seasons.
It's not that hard to imagine.
Yes. All right. And so now what I describe as kind of what we are is we've kind of moved from this annoyance, tolerance, avoidance place in life where the differences of this beautiful woman and the differences of me to her were something that were divides. They were barriers in our marriage, and they stayed that way for a long, long time. And God's, through his grace and mercy, has brought us to a place to where now we can actually accept and celebrate how massively different we are by design. And being able to celebrate those differences has led us to a place of unity, to where when we're together, these wild differences between Chris and Sophie really have very few blind spots when we're together. And then we're modeling something called unity, which is part of the name of our ministry, that you helped us actually coin that into the name the way we did. We had unity, but we framed Designed for Unity with your coaching and help. And so now there's this John 17 dynamic that we get to live in, experience, and watch God do, which John 17 is Jesus praying for really his disciples and us, the three of us on this call, and everybody that is watching this as a child of his. He prayed for you in that prayer, prayed for us in that prayer, said that if we were unified like he and the Father were, that the world would know that God sent Jesus, and in essence, Jesus was real. And so we're getting to walk in that and experience that and see the ripple effect of that. And it just makes the Chris and Sophie dynamic even richer because there's deep purpose in that. And so that's kind of how it's evolved in time. Yeah.
It's so powerful. There's so much, I always want to have so much hope for people who are going through hard times in their marriage, because it's like, if you can just see what's possible, and of course, that's what you guys are all about, see that God's redemptive power is real. There is hope. There is a path forward, even though it doesn't seem like it. I mean, it's so, what you guys do and what you share is so powerful.
I think Chris mentioned a word, like there's a richness in the staying that we can testify to, that's so powerful in the relationships that we have with couples. And Chris will tell people a lot of times that we're hope peddlers. Like, and it's almost like what you said, like we have seen the faithfulness of God. And when we're speaking into other marriages, like we're at a point in our marriage where we can say, you're going to go through seasons in your marriage where it's not easy. It'll feel like that season will never end when you're in the middle of it. But there is a richness and I don't really understand. There's a depth to a wholeness in the relationship that is developed in going through these things together and staying.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to add that to it, like a part of our calling and speaking into other marriages, whether it's younger marriages or like we see a lot of second marriages or third marriages, like and it's later in life, and it's kind of like they're starting this process over again of the getting to know each other. How do I live with someone that's vastly different from me? What family of origin did you bring into the equation? All of those things. Yeah. And I think that the thing that we can speak into in any of those situations is that we have seen the goodness of God. Like we have we created our own hell and lived through it. And through the power of God, we're on the other side of it. And just don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And for everybody watching and listening, I'll say in the show notes, we'll have links to their ministry website. And on that site, you can link to their podcast, which is great, or there's some other videos that they have. One of those videos actually tells their whole story, and it's an awesome story. It's a powerful story. So encourage people to go and just get a little more background on you guys. Well, while we're talking about that, it's a good segue because that is your life. Your life is about marriages and ministry, and God has used your trauma and used your challenges to now minister to and benefit hundreds and hundreds of other families and couples. And that number just keeps growing year over year. It's amazing what God's doing there. But I know in the midst of that, you have all ages and all different kinds of situations that you're dealing with. But I know out of those hundreds and hundreds, you've had a lot of people who are probably close to our age, in that maybe 50 plus category. And there are some unique challenges. There's the same challenges everybody has, but there's also some unique challenges as we get older in marriage, whether we've been married for a couple of years or 10 years or 40 years. Yeah. What are some of the things you're seeing consistently that are kind of pervasive issues in marriage for couples in our season of life? And how are you addressing that with them? What are some things you're seeing that are working and what are helping people? I'd love for anybody watching who's, in this demographic, which is the whole point of this. Yeah. What are some problems you're seeing, and what are some fixes or some solutions that you're finding?
That's a great question. And we get to encounter, like you said, all ages, but when we're dealing with people that are in marriages that are pretty close to us in age, or have been together for a number of years. We'll just talk about, first of all, the ones that are our age that have been together a number of years. Oftentimes, the biggest challenge is the blown expectations of they thought there was a done/arrive point. Yeah. And they thought when we get the kids out of the house, or when we get the IRA where it needs to be, or when we get the whatever, like we thought we needed to get, that it's going to be easier. This relationship, this marriage, this whatever. And the fact that people's blown expectations start playing into this dynamic of them is a common thing, we believe. And then the couples maybe that are our age that have been married a time or two before, and then they're in the relationship, and the relationship isn't perfect because, look, I was so careful before I picked this one. Like, and I had even my past spouse to compare this to. I picked so well, and man, it's not like I expected. So those expectations is huge in what we deal with people that are our age, because they've got the reality that there is an ending closer than the beginning, like we talked about earlier. And we're made for relationship. We're beings designed for it by the Maker. Our Maker, who is so relational that it's mind-blowing, and we want this one to be the one, and then when it's not meeting our needs, it's not sufficient, it's not enough, that framing is a tough one, and that's where a lot of couples will get, and they can be in ministry, they can be brand new followers of Christ, and they can be pagan, that are not followers of Jesus, and the reality is, this is true. And so that's the biggest one, is helping them to realize that they're in a relational process, a relational journey. When they signed up and they said yes to the covenant, usually on a stage in front of other people, it was different than what they thought it was good. What they were signing up for was bigger and would require more of them than they thought. Because in essence, we're all poor at loving and have to learn to love, and marriage is set up to teach us that, like no other relationship. So that's what I think that's probably the biggest challenge we deal with couples our age. So,
the expectations thing is so big in so many parts of life, but especially in relationship. We have a saying that floats around our house, and I don't know where we got this. It's not original to us, but it's a simple saying that says expectations are disappointments waiting to happen. And it's just such a given that I don't know where the expectations come from. I don't know why we think it's going to be different. I don't know why we fool ourselves if it's just wishful thinking, but you're imposing something on somebody else that's just not realistic. It's not fair to them. It's not what they're designed for, as you guys well know. I know you talk about that a lot. And then there's, I've read 100,000 marriage books, as I know you guys have, and they all run together at some point. But somewhere in one of them, I remember reading too that, marriage is just like holding a mirror up to your face. And so everything in you is going to be exposed at some point. You can't hide everything forever. Right. You can try, you can have some success, but eventually it's going to come out. And it's a constant sharpening.
Yes.
If you'll let it. Yeah. And I think that's the thing I think for older people too, there's a point in life where you're just like, can it just be easy? Yeah. Can it just be a little easier? Yeah. And I think there's fruit that comes that's sort of like that. But the truth is, even the most beautiful fruit, there's a lot of work that goes into it. So you ask a farmer that grows fruit trees, they'll tell you they don't just come out that way by themselves. Like it's a lot of work. Yes. And kind of coming to grips or accepting the fact that that's just the way it is. It's going to be hard. Yes. In a good way. It's good for you. It's going to stretch you, to use the stretch word again. So how do you, when you talk to people about that, and it's a pretty common theme there, what are some practical things that you tell them, or a journey you take them on, or process? And I know you could talk about this for hours, but in a shorter 5-minute section, what are some highlight things that you see working, or that you say to them that's helpful?
Well, I think that the mentality that we've earned the right to be a certain way or get to a certain point where we coast in any relationship, is faulty at best. It is ridden with really the me monster. It's ridden with the selfishness of what we deserve, and spending time with Jesus. And you would think, I know younger couples, if they hear this, they're going, well, like, how, couples that have been married for 30 years, they're spending time with Jesus every day. You'd be shocked. And
sure.
that is so foundational for us to be able to be healthy in our relationship, which extends to all other relationships that we have, is just that we are spending time every day with Jesus. We're in prayer, in worship, in His Word, and we are very intentional about that. Like, there is not a point that you get to where you just coast through things. Mm-hmm. And so that is something that I would say that is our consistent advice is, are you spending time with Jesus? Are you growing? What are you reading? And also just their mentality of just,
where's their heart?
Where is their heart? And if there are any issues or you feel like there's some disconnect, what do you own in it? Like, we are not at a place where we can say, well, I'm this age, and this is the way I am, and if he doesn't know me by now, or he should know me by now. No, that is so unhealthy in any relationship to put that on another person. And we do hear that a lot, I think, of, well, gosh, we've been married for this long, or, we're this old, you would think he would know this. And that is a setup for failure. And so we're really honest about that with people, right?
Yeah. So what, Sophie?
Coasting is such an interesting word, because I think I just kind of got this word picture as you were saying that, but coasting will only take you so far. It eventually just stops. And the only time it doesn't stop is downhill, which is not where you want to be going.
Right.
That's really a great visual.
So, it only takes you in one direction, and to go uphill or to go to the better place or the better view or all that, like, it's going to take effort. There's just no getting around it.
That's right.
And it goes back to the whole, anything worth having is worth working hard for. I mean, it's just a truth that I don't know why we feel like marriage is supposed to be the exception to that.
Right.
But I think people somehow get sucked into that mentality. She's going to fix everything or he's going to make everything okay. And it's like, they can help, but they're not the solution. That other person is never going to be.
Right.
It's only going to be under the guidance of God and the Holy Spirit. That's so good. Got a shot for sure. What were you going to say, Chris?
Let me give you one more thought about that too. So what we're the root or the foundation of what Sophie was describing, and you just said too, is when we work with couples, help them, we get each individual spouse focused on their own heart condition and their own, where are they in health. And so really, really neat, a book that just read a couple months ago, Healthy Me, Healthy Us. It's Les and Leslie Parrott. They came in and spoke at a marriage conference for us a few months ago at our church. And that is a great, great, simple phrase to describe what we have been doing for years. And I'm sure they obviously have too. But the health of marriage is going to be so rooted in my heart. And so we tell everybody week one of our curriculum, hey, we will not have a week where we focus on and fix the problems of your spouse, just so you know. So this is the time to quit if that's all you're looking for. And but we will spend 11 weeks or 6 to 11 weeks, depending on which curriculum link they choose. And we will be really focused on whoever you are hearing me say your health of your heart, and how do you handle this whole little self-discovery journey I described. And then we tell them that your sufficiency, your need meter is Jesus. God didn't create marriage so that we would be loved. We were already loved perfectly. So he created marriage, though. He said Adam by himself wasn't good. I wonder what that was about. So it's obviously good to do deep dives into that with God and go, well, what was missing? And what was missing is the mirror you just described, because Adam would have told you he knew how to love God, but it took another human to expose his selfishness, the me monster Sophie's been referring to. And truthfully, marriage is about me and God and Sophie and God, and the Chris and Sophie is a byproduct. It was made by God for relationship with God. And once we really get that and go that he didn't create this chick and let her live 20-something years of life to be my reward for good behavior prior to marriage, which honestly, I thought she was supposed to be. That's so horrible. That is so horrible, but it's real. And what he did is
real. So if that were ever true, then what does that say for you? Because you were the culprit of my bad behavior.
That was not going to work anywhere. And so God really is enough. But we need marriage. Most of us, high percentage of the world's population, need it to expose us to how poor we are at loving, to ever fulfill the greatest commandment that Jesus said, which is to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself. You're going to have to grind through an earthly relationship exposing your selfishness to you so that you can self-control it by the Holy Spirit for love, authentic love, which is not aimed at what I get back, but what am I giving? How do I die today? And that's where we take couples when you ask, what advice do we give them? When they let us, we'll take them through that long process and go through the beauty of that exposure, if you will. So,
yeah. Wow. I mean, there's so much in there and so much power in there. That's why what you're doing is having such a big impact. I mean, you're really telling them, hey, you can't read a book and fix this. You can't have one conversation or go to see a therapist 1 or 2 times. Like, this is a multi-week, multi-month, lifetime commitment of changing. I'll just tell our listeners, if you want more of this kind of talk, go listen to their podcast, the Cordercast. It's great. They talk a lot about the me monster, especially in this new year. It's a big focus that they're talking about. And they have some other couples on there that they talk to and different things that have gone through similar things. It's a real powerful resource for you. And we'll mention that in the show notes, and also the book they just talked about from the Parrotts. We'll link that in there as well as a resource.
Do you want to tell them our other favorite marriage book if they're gonna?
Yeah, it literally is our number one book. And you mentioned it because I'm telling you what you said about the mirror. It's In Sacred Marriage by Gary Thomas. That's my favorite book of all time. That is.
We have a box of them at our house that we hand out to people, literally.
So that's our first go-to. But the new one by the Parrotts is really a great book as well. Really strong. So
okay, yeah, those are great resources for sure. Well, another thing I wanted to ask you guys about. And again, the marriage thing, I mean, we could do 15 episodes on that and still not get through it all. So that's why I really do want them to go check out what y'all are doing, and those resources are there and their ministries there for anybody who needs it. So, but I do want to ask you about something else. One part of what we're doing here with this is we're really calling out people 50 plus to say, hey, what has God put on your heart? What's he calling you to do? We're not done yet. You've got more resources than you've ever had. Hopefully a little bit more money in the bank. You've got more time. You've got more control of your schedule. Hopefully it's just one of the benefits of being older. What are you doing with that? And what's God calling you to do? We love to say around here that calling and purpose have no expiration date. And so it's like, what's next for you? We're not done until you go through the doorway, as you have so beautifully put, Chris. So I know as you guys were, around your early 50s or so, you were kind of making that change where you were literally thinking about changing a career, building this ministry, leaving a job, security of a job, all that kind of stuff. And I had the privilege of kind of walking through that journey with you guys. But what were you afraid of in that moment that you were able to overcome, and how did you overcome it? And then kind of as part of that, and we've talked about this with a few other guests as well, but the value of coaching at this age, it seems backwards. It seems, well, I'm 50, I'm 60, I don't need a coach. I feel like I got to figure it out. It's like, no, why did you feel like you needed help? And how did having that third party or outside viewpoint help you in that process? Because you guys, I'll just say you were the perfect client in that, because as we were working together, you were humble, you were teachable, you wanted to be told the hard things, you were willing to do the work, which oftentimes is one of the barriers. It's like, well, I thought I wanted to do this, but I don't really want to work that hard anymore. It's like, well, you got to stretch, you got to do something new. It's going to take some effort. So just talk about that journey for you guys, and how did you get to the point of making the decision? How did it help you, and what has been kind of the fruit of that?
You want to go first?
I want you to go first.
Okay. Well, we
just to do that.
Yeah. So some of the fears were literally everybody that's honest, I believe, and authentic will talk about the struggle of comparison, and that challenge still existed in our world as late 40s and 50 and right around 50 when we were really making this decision, and to do it successfully, we needed to be further down the road on all these areas in our minds and to differing degrees. But I knew we were supposed to do it. And so some of the fear was, what is the unknown of what's it going to look like? And I also knew that God was not going to allow me to go make it happen like I'm wired to do. Instead, He was telling me, you're going to team this thing for the rest of your life. You're not going to do a marriage ministry and Chris gets up in front of everybody and talks. You're going to have Chris and Sophie talk.
As great as that would be.
It's amazing. Amazing. And so I'm kidding totally. And but the reality is, He's like, and you're not going to just be Chris and Sophie. You're going to partner with other ministries. You're going to be engaged relationally to where there is this unity being modeled through this mission to impact marriages for the kingdom of God, so that there's this eternal focus in this relationship He created that needs to be there. And you're going to do that with other ministries, and you're going to do that with coaches like you. You're going to do that with coaches like my mentor in the disc world, Dr. Robert Rome, who's forever been feeding into me, or people like Andy Andrews, who I've read for over 30. Well, I've read for 20 years, but been exposed to his mindset for over 30, and people like, I don't know, John MacArthur. So he's just like, and all these other ministers, and then friends that He's put in our life that are on the board of our ministry, but are massive accountability. And the husband, a gentleman named Dusty Hammock, and his wife Ann are just massive impacts in our life. We co-minister. We'll be leading marriage intensives out west in a month with them, with other couples, and they're just amazing humans. But Dusty is a form of coaching and accountability. And God was just very clear that the fear of the unknown, just you're going to get to relax in my sufficiency, my enoughness. You're going to get to daily wake up, spend time with me, let me rub off on you, and then be faithful that day, and then wake up and do it the next morning. And the byproduct has been all of this relational equity that He's helped us build with these amazing humans that we literally are surprised we're in the room with all the time. But the fear of I don't get to go drive this thing was big for me. What was yours?
I think I had a fear of that we were starting this too late to really make an impact. And I listened to actually one of your podcast interview with Aaron, and I was so encouraged by his story of just, that God redirected him at when he was close to my age. And it was so great to hear that. That is encouraging, because the enemy will plant seeds of, if you had only done this earlier, you would be so much more relevant or whatever. And I think going back to just spending that time with Jesus every day, He is so clear that this isn't about what we're doing or what we are even called to do, but it's about how we scream His faithfulness from the mountaintops from the platform that he has given us. And so if he has called us to it, we are learning that he will provision that. But being totally honest, there was just a fear of, I had a full-time job, Chris had a full-time job. We've got kids that are married now, older kids, parents that are aging, all of those things. Are we really going to be able to give what it's going to take to, quote, make this successful? And he's really taught us that there is wisdom in having someone like you who helped us take, this passion, clearly a story, and kind of hone in on it and get a few words that we can put out there, some framing for it. Like there was so much value in that, and just submitting ourselves really to someone who has expertise in a particular area. There's a lot of wisdom in that, and we're so thankful that we did that. But along the way, God is also teaching us that he is the provision of it, like that he's put a calling and he's the provision of it. And whether that looks like, 5 years from now, we're speaking in front of thousands, or whether he calls us to small group ministry, sitting in people's living rooms with them, holding their hands while they cry because they don't think, they're going to make it through another day in this marriage, whatever that is, he will provision it. And we are able now, I think, to relax in that. And that was a big fear point that I had initially is what is this going to require of me? All of those things. And so, we are absolutely walking in trust of whatever you want this to look like. We don't want anything more or less.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's such a common challenge for people, especially as we get a little bit older, because you've had success in other areas. You've done well. To start over again and to have to ask for help and to have to say, I don't know the answers. And that fear of comparison, like you talked about, Chris, of what are other people going to think, or what are they going to, and the truth is most people are in awe of folks who are willing to take a risk. They don't know necessarily how to articulate it, but I think inside they're actually a little bit envious, because they're like, I wish I had the guts to make a change, make a decision, trust God enough to step out. And you guys are such an inspiration for everybody watching who's got some idea that's been planted in them. They've got an idea for a ministry or an idea for a business or something they want to go serve at, or whatever the thing is. And what I want to point out is, what if you hadn't done that? You think about all these marriages that have gotten turned around, and it's 100% on God. Yeah. It's not because of you guys, it's because of God, but he used you to do it. And what if you weren't there? What if you weren't available? What if you hadn't made the decision? What if you hadn't been willing to step out of the boat and make the sacrifice and trust him? Think about the marriages that may have been lost, the families that might have been divided, that might have been destroyed. That's real. Yeah. That's 100% real. And that's true for everybody that God has put a vision into, which is all of us as Christ followers. There's a purpose that he's given each of us to fulfill. And when we don't trust him enough to step out, we're really living in sin is what it comes down to. Yeah. It's disobedience. And people often talk about, why don't I hear from God anymore? It's like, well, he told you to do something, and now he's just waiting on you. Yeah. Yeah. He's waiting on you to show up and step out of the boat and do the thing that he called you to do. Yeah. Why would he tell you something else if you haven't been willing to do the first thing he told you to do? And it's like, what do you?
I love Mark. The Chris and I've been talking a lot about this, that I've kind of been taken back. Like, I didn't become a Christian until I was 21, but my parents had me in church. They had our family in church, and there were things that I learned during that time, even though I didn't become a believer until later, that one of those was the old hymns, growing up in the Baptist church in Auburn. And the one that God has pulled me back to recently is the trust and obey. And
for there's no other way.
That's right. To be happy in my relationship with Jesus than to trust and obey. Why? And it's what you said. Why don't I hear from him? Why do I feel like I'm spinning these plates? And those lyrics take me back to the simplicity of am I trusting him? And then am I acting on what he's telling me to do next? Right?
Yeah. Well, and you guys talked about it. When he gives vision, he gives provision. They're not separate things. That's all part of the vision. Yeah. And the other thing that Jenda and I have talked about so much and learned is that God is attracted to risk. He's seeking people who's willing to step out. Yes. I forget what scripture it is, but he talks about, I'm looking for someone to step up. I'm looking for someone to take the risk to step out. We're not talking about foolishness or making a dumb decision. We're talking about a plan, a calculation, counting the cost, and saying, okay, I can do this. God, help me, meet me in this. I'm willing to trust you to step out and do it. And, what do they say? Talk about all the billionaires and all the visions and ministries that are in the graveyard, because people just never stepped out. And the hope that we have for this is 100% that I want people to be inspired by folks like you who said, we stepped out and God met us and look what's happened. Yeah. And we see that over and over and over again in the people that we have on here. And I want that to be the takeaway, that they go, hey, if they could do it, I could do it. And I can say for myself, hey, look, if this guy could do it, you can do it. And I know you guys will have to say that you would say that too. Yes. If they can do it, God, it's not about you, it's about him.
And that's why, if I can do it, you can do it, because it doesn't have anything to do with us. It has everything to do with who powers that and our ability to trust and obey him. And if they're willing to do that, then same God.
Yeah, 100%.
Same power.
Well, you guys, I wish we had more and more time, but it's been an incredible conversation. I knew that it would be. I've been anticipating this moment and getting to have this conversation with you guys, and we'll probably do it again.
That'd be awesome.
Not too far from now, and dive deeper on some stuff. But I do want to encourage people to go to your website. Again, we'll put it in the show notes. You can contact Chris and Sophie through there if it's marriage stuff that you need help with, or if you just want to be inspired by people who have followed God in obedience and seen him show up in their life. Whatever the thing is, I know they would be happy to talk to you and encourage you. And so I thank you guys so much for sharing and being so honest and transparent. And, the last 4 or 5 years in your ministry have been phenomenal to watch, and I can't wait to see what God does next. It's going to be amazing.
Well, we're grateful for you too. I mean,
what an honor.
We are grateful for you, grateful for your time, honored to do this, and we're thankful too that God led us together in the part that you played in the beginning of that. I just want to publicly say that.
Yeah. And we're thrilled about who's going to get impacted by what you're doing with this.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. We are fans.
Praise God for that.
We are fans. That's right.
You guys are awesome. Well, I love y'all, and we will talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Wow, what an amazing episode. I knew it was going to be great, and I knew that you were going to love it. So many great takeaways from that, really too many to list. So many great things that they've learned over their years of working with so many other couples. And really what I love about them is they're not just theorists, but they're practitioners. They're applying these things in their own marriage. They're learning and growing together, and they're so much more powerful because of it. And all of us who are married can really take a lot away from that. Hey, next week, we have an incredible guest. I'm so excited for you to kind of listen in on a conversation I'm going to have with Jim Shepard. Jim is a dear, dear friend of mine. We've known each other for 20 plus years. He's really like a second father to me. And he was the inspiration for this podcast. He doesn't know that, but we're going to talk about it. And he is in his 70s and thriving. He's been the CEO of a company called Generis for many, many years, CEO and owner. And he just recently went through a transition where he raised up someone from their team, Frank, who's doing an amazing job. And Jim has now moved into more of the founding leader, leads their board and so forth. And but man, just as active as ever, still leading clients, still working with people. He's an amazing father, grandfather, husband. He's really everything that you want to be as you're getting older as a man. And I'm so grateful that he's going to be with us. So tune in next week. He's one of my closest friends. He's a mentor, a father figure, and one of the wisest people I know, and you're going to get so much out of that interview. So make sure you tune in next week. Hey, in the meantime, we're so grateful if you would like, subscribe to the different channels, wherever you're listening or watching the podcast, if it's on YouTube, if it's on Apple or Spotify or wherever you might be. Make sure you're following us and subscribing. Also, please feel free to follow me personally at Mark Clement on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are doing your social media. We'd love for you to be part of that. And finally, if you haven't done so already, feel free to go to ageoflions.com. That's our website. All of our episodes are there. A lot of information about the podcast is there. And most importantly, I would love for you to sign up for our newsletter, our email list. We don't send out a lot of stuff. We don't overwhelm anybody, but we do let you in on things that are coming up. We were able to kind of give you a heads up about what's coming down the pike. And we would just love for you to be part of our community as we grow closer together. And it gives us an easy way to communicate back and forth with you, because we really do want to hear from you what you're looking for and how we can best serve you. So make sure you do that. Hey, thanks again for listening. We will see you next week.